She's comforted every day. She's not late any day.
Okay.
And she teaches us she have fun. She sometimes let us go outside
Okay.
and play and watch movies.
Thank you, Charles. She's a third grade teacher. Awesome, awesome. You said have fun, and she taught us. That's awesome. Anybody else? Okay.
For me, my teachers who are usually my favorite. I love all my teachers, but I think I relate more to my English teachers because it's hard to teach English because people who don't see the want to like expand your knowledge and just grammar. You teach you that in elementary school and like speaking or just reading. People don't really enjoy reading, but I feel like all my English teachers they expand on English as in because English is such a feeling type of class. It's all about emotions. It's about how do you feel this person. Why do you think this person wrote this, and how do you think they felt writing it, or how does this make you feel? And it's all about emotion and mental type of just expansion, yeah. And it's like for me, that's the same thing for my teachers. All my English teachers have always been very emotional. I have my teachers who's before starting class, it's not about English. It's about how we feel, and they really care about especially in my school. It's all about how do we feel being here, and how do we feel about coming to class. Because if I didn't come to class for 2 days or something because I was sick, they would email me, or they would, when I would show up, they would take time to speak with me after school or before class and help me catch up. And just having, like Carmen said, that relationship with your student, even if it doesn't have to be best friends or something, but just showing them that you care, because it is true that we see them more than we see our parents. And sometimes we have jobs, we're in high school, so we don't get to see our parents or something, all we have to do is do homework, and sometimes we don't want to do homework, or we're just not in the right mental state to do it, and our teachers, they understand that, and they take the time to say, it's okay if you weren't feeling okay this day, that you can just turn it in tomorrow or something like that. They're not just completely worried about their job, because it's not their job to care for us, but they do it because they want to.
Now, I'm hearing the theme of the importance of being able to relate to students, the relationship side, and really caring, and that's what prompts you to even want to learn more. Okay. Any middle schoolers want to share? Okay, thank you.
I've had a connection with my English teacher because I've known her over 3 years, and she goes above and beyond to let you she helps you understand the text. She goes at different paces for different students. This teacher, recently she done for a test, if you make it's not to embarrass anyone for not mastering the test, it's to let you know what you need to work on and those standards you need to work on. And she took the time out of her day, out of her afternoon when that's her time after school, and she did that to help us learn. And she's really taking her time out of weekdays and early in the morning to make sure that she's prepared to teach us that day, and she makes sure we're prepared for TCAP and 10 rating and all those huge big tests for state.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. I also want you all to take a second to think about a teacher that you really didn't like. No names. No names. And I just want you to honestly share with us, what type of things did that teacher do to make you shut down and not even really want to learn? Okay? So maybe a teacher you didn't like and you didn't want to learn.
I have a question.
Sure.
You say it didn't have to be a parent teacher that we
Doesn't have to be a parent. That's correct. And again, it doesn't even have to be, it can be your experience or even some of your friends, just what you all talked about and you've seen, and teachers I don't even want to learn, I don't even want to be here.
I think I was in kindergarten, and this teacher, her way of disciplining students was kind of extreme. She would sort of threaten us in order to, I'll say, get what we needed to get done, and this teacher, I couldn't personally say this teacher was horrible because she wasn't my homeroom teacher, but from past experiences in kindergarten up until first grade, this teacher would, again, I'll say, threaten us to do what she wanted us to do, and I don't think that's really good for a student, because if you're threatening a child, that kind of pushes you away from your relationship with the teacher, and like she said, you see your teachers more than you see your parents, so if you don't have a close relationship with your teachers, then it's sort of off, because school is more important than it has been in past years, and yeah, so I don't really think she was a really good teacher.
Yeah. So sorry you had that experience. Yes, I saw both your hands. Go ahead. Okay, yes, Louis.
Okay. In elementary, in 5th grade, we had a teacher, and I think she was into like corporal punishment, where you like just can't like punish you, and we reacted bad. The class, I mean, I didn't blame her. Our class was kind of annoying, so she would make us like hold a plank or something, or do a certain number of push-ups to enlist discipline in us. And I think, you know, from an outside view, that's abusive or whatever. But now that I'm older, I really appreciate her for doing that. Definitely, if I didn't get that kind of discipline in me, I would have like been worse in middle school probably.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to share about it? Okay.
Teachers, I think that, I think people forget that they're human. Students forget they're human, and that they have a life outside of school. So I understand when teachers, when they are upset about something personal and they come to school and they kind of just don't want to be there, because I mean, they're human. I mean, if I had a problem, I wouldn't want to go to school either. But I feel as though if we feel like a teacher doesn't want to be there in their class or in the school, I feel like we're not gonna want to be there either. Like if they don't even want to be here teaching this, why? Like I don't want to learn, because if we're not all in, I understand that you're human and that you have your own problems that you have to deal with at home, and you don't have to tell us or anything, but I feel if you have an issue and it's gonna affect your job, even though it shouldn't, then you should take some time to like step outside and breathe, or like tell your students that it's gonna be like kind of a more calm day today because you know you don't feel good. Now we're gonna understand, but it's just that I feel like it's better than just taking out your anger or your frustrations on the students, because I have some teachers in school, not now, but you know, in school who do that, and people get the wrong impression of them, because there's a teacher that I like, but other people don't like, because of one day that happened. Like people are how we perceive you is very important, because if I hear from another student that, oh, that teacher's mean, or like she's rude or something like that, then I'm gonna not want to go to her class, or I'm gonna try to transfer out of her class into a different class, because if the teacher doesn't want to be there to teach because of emotional or personal problems, then you have to like deal with that alone, like in your own time, please. I mean,
Sarah, so let's handle that before you enter the building. Don't bring your stuff to us. I love it. What I want us to do, because I'm going to open the floor up, you all, so if you have questions, I'm going to open the floor, but I do want to ask the students, what's like one thing you want us to know? This is a room full of principals and teachers and other administrators. What's one thing? She's like, I've been waiting for this question. Carmen, what's one thing you absolutely want us to know?
Communication is important. Whether you think because you're an admin that you don't have to communicate with the students, it is important, because especially even with the teachers, a lot of things that's going on throughout the school, we don't know about it. We go to our teachers to ask. They don't even know about it. And it's like, it's really hard for us to all cooperate when no one knows what's going on. And a lot of admin a lot of admin just feel like what they say go, and it just should happen when it happens, and it's like, it don't work like that. Like, you have to, communication is very important. Like, it's very frustrating when a lot of things just go down and it just happens out of nowhere and no one knows what's going on.
Okay.
And yeah, like, communication is important, and especially when, like, sometimes they pick and choose how they view us. 1 minute they view us as children, and then 1 minute they view us as if we're young adults. And it's like, you can't pick and choose how you want to view us. Either treat us like children or treat us like young adults. So.
All right. Thank you, Carmen. We got it. Yes. All right, Sarah. One thing you want us to know.
Like Carmen said, communication. I feel like teachers and just everybody in the school who's an adult and who's working there should have communication with each other. Because I feel like you don't communicate with each other like you want us to communicate with other students. Like, you talk about being friendly and being kind and trying to accept other people's differences, but if you can't do that within your own teacher circle, or then, like, it's because we can tell, we can see, like, how teachers interact with each other and how they don't. And that it's kind of weird for us to see teachers or adults acting like children.
Oh, wow.
And so it's kind of like, it's like, if you don't know, like Carmen said, like, just because you're a principal or something, or even just a janitor, or like someone who monitors the halls or something, I feel like we look to you as adults. We look to you as someone that we're not like, we're trying to learn from. And because I, like, as a senior, when I have a question about something about college or something, I go to my teachers.
Yeah.
I go to adults. I go to my principals. I don't go to counselors. That's something that I've noticed, that a lot of us don't go to counselors. Instead of going to counselors, we go to our teachers because they're here because they went through that education. And we want to be able to see them as adults, and we want to see them as someone that we can go to when we have questions about the adult world.
Yeah, that's awesome, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that with us. Get on the ball. Got it. Thank you. Any of our divorce students? Yes. What do you want us to know?
I want to add on to what she said, because once we get at the start of the school, and like we're in kindergarten and first grade, they tell us to like communicate with each other and make friends. And then once we get up into the high grade, we try and talk to people and make friends and be nice to each other. They tell us to be quiet.
Yeah. Make friends, then we tell you all to be quiet. Okay. Thank you, Nolan. Yes. Okay.
One thing that all schools should have for the teachers and students is connecting with students. Because if you don't connect with your students, then your students won't really learn. Like, you can't just, the teacher can't just give you work and say do this before a certain amount of time. Here you go away. It's time to go.
Yeah.
You can't just say that. You have to go one-on-one and help your students with what they need, because each student has different skill sets, and some students might need more help than others. So you just need motivation and support from these teachers, so they can learn better and actually want to learn and go to school and not just drop out of school at a certain age.
Well, you just said it's been a consistent thing across the board. We're consistently hearing the importance of that connection. Thank you for sharing. All right, I'm gonna open the floor up for anyone if you may have a question. Let's take maybe right at 10 minutes. You wanna ask our students any question at all that's helpful to your practice, okay?
I have a question, and good morning, everyone. I want to ask the students, I know that this is a panel for ANet, and all of you all are ANet schools, I would assume. So you take interim assessments in ELA and math. How do those interim assessments help you become a better student or a stronger student?
They don't. A lot of students get discouraged by the testing because you can learn something in the classroom and you got it. And in the minute you take the test, you like, what happened? And it's like, those discourage you a lot. Those bring your scores down. Those bring your grades down. And then you begin to feel like I'm not smart enough to do this. And then people like the outside community will see your test more than they see what you do in the classroom. So those people go by and they judge you based off your test. And the state judges us by our test, and we get funding based off of how we test. And a lot of us, I test well, but a lot of others don't test well. So it's like they are now discouraged. The state doesn't really look at the school as well because of our test scores. But our test scores doesn't really reflect the way that we learn and the way that our education is really, the way how smart we actually are in the classroom. So I'm not a big fan of testing.
Yes, Sylvia?
I agree with Carmen because I feel as though people look at our test scores and they say that we weren't taught what we were needed to be taught, or they judge our teachers or how we were educated. But it's not about how we were educated because our teachers taught us everything that we were supposed to learn. But testing is just, that type of testing is so necessary to me. I feel as though, like, I'm not a good test taker, but I have like great scores or good GPA, and I'm good at school, I like to say, and testing is just not something I'm good at. But so it's very, like Carmen says, very discouraging and like depressing for me when I see when you're doing so well in class or doing so well in school, and then you take a test and suddenly you feel like down. You feel like, oh, why can't I get this if I get everything else? And it's kind of like for me, I've always been good at school or just education in general. So when you do something that you're not good at, it's very frustrating. It's very upsetting because you don't know why.
Thank you, Jean. Okay.
Testing with me, so I never liked testing, and I don't know, it makes me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about because it's based on a score, and if that score isn't above 80, I feel like I failed at understanding. And I relate to what Carmen and Sarah said because you understand it in the classroom, but the moment the test hits, it's like whatever that grade comes out to be is gonna determine if you know it or not, and I don't feel like that's not true. There's been many times where I've taken a test and I've gotten a low score and I've compared myself to others, and it makes me feel like I'm not as smart or where I need to be. But it turns out test taking and learning in the classroom are two different things.
Thank you, Lois. Anybody else?
I don't like testing because when you test, you don't, like some people are not good at it. So the test that people that grade it, they just see they just look at you and the test they reflect you by your test. So whatever they see on the test, they just think that you're like, that the teachers didn't teach you or you're not even paying attention. But they don't see what we actually learn in class and what we do. And that's just kind of like not fair because we work hard in class and sometimes it's stressful when we don't get lessons that are like easy to us. So I don't like testing that much.
Jessica. Okay.
So, tests, some people might actually like tests, and some people might not. Like, some people might think from a perspective that tests are just memory. They just have to remember every bit of information and just put it what you remember in the on this test. And just some people can't just remember that because there's so much going on. But as for the people who do like tests, you feel like it actually tests their skill, and it actually might help them by seeing what they might actually not know and what they actually need, and so they can get better help. So it just depends on how you see it from your point of view.
Other questions? Thank you all so much. Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
Have any of your teachers provided support or incentives for assessments? Because what it sounds like is testing is not fun. People don't like it. But when you're talking about reaching your goals and making sure that you're prepared for college, what kind of incentives and support have teachers provided for you guys in terms of assessments?
A lot of our teachers do. I like it more based off of improvement instead of your score and improvement score. So a lot of our teachers do, okay, you made this the first time. If you get this amount of points, or if you fix the inquiry or the mastery that you didn't get the next time, then you can get this. Or a lot of our teachers do incentives, and I like that. But I also like the fact that they go off of an improvement score instead of if you passed the first time or if you didn't.
Okay.
I like to agree, and I like to add on because some students, like last year in our science class, if you made like a low score, like say for instance you made a 64 on your benchmark, and then the teacher would give you like each student a set of like points that you need to make on the next benchmark to be able to book the benchmark. And if you make those points, like the teacher said you made a 64 the first time, the next time you need to make at least a 75. And if you get those points and you make a 75, the teacher will give you a ticket, and you'll be able to use that ticket to like go to like a party for not passing or booking the benchmark, but improving your score so you know what you need to work on.
Thank you. I saw another hand back here.
Yes. I would like to know, do you believe that the grades that you receive in your classrooms are accurate reflections of what you learned in class?
You believe the grades that you receive are an accurate reflection of what you actually learn in class?
As a high school student, I don't like doing work. So I know the work, especially when I take classes that I know really well, I start to get bored. So once I'm doing an assignment and I know that I know the assignment, I get bored with doing it. So I might just stop doing it. And then it ends up becoming late, or it doesn't get turned in, and then now I got a low grade in it. And I can honestly say that's my fault, but it just shows that what I have in the grade book or what I have in the system isn't reflecting on what I learned in the classroom, all because I got bored with doing it, or I just simply didn't turn it in. So, no.
All right, after Sarah, we'll take one last question. Sarah.
I feel as though grading, there's more than just one thing that affects someone's grade or someone's drive to do the work. So the grades that I have aren't necessarily a reflection of what I learned, because I can hear you talking and we could go through all these activities and I can learn, but when you assign me something and maybe I'm not able to do it because sometimes it's hard for me to remember or to have the same drive outside of school for like homework and such, but the next year if we were like going over something, like if they give us the same work like we did last year, I'm able to do it. And it's because the teachers did what they were supposed to do and they taught me and I learned, but the grades that I may have gotten that year may have not been as good as I wanted it to be. But it's not because I didn't learn anything or I'm not trying. Maybe it's just because it's difficult for someone to do something when they're not in a right space, because when you're in school everybody's learning, everybody's doing the same thing, everybody's able to focus on what they're supposed to do and what they're supposed to learn. But when you step out of that environment, that all depends on you and that all depends on your situation, and that can affect your grades, because outside of school nobody knows what you're going through or what you're doing. So when you come back into class and you bring your homework or something, or your late classwork, it can affect your grade.
We are so proud of you all because we are able to learn from you. And as a former teacher and principal, I've done high school, middle school, and elementary. I'm just so honored. You all represent so well the many students that are in Memphis, Tennessee. So thank you so much for being here with us on this morning. And thank you to our leaders who brought our students on this morning. Thank you to our students for allowing them to serve in this capacity. We're going to take about a 5-minute break. We'll do a transition and then we'll kick off our next session, our first session, right at 9:36.